Hello, hello. That must be what it's doing. Hello, hello. Okay, this way, anybody who, I think we've got almost everybody here, but I think Danilo had said he wanted to know what was going on and he wasn't here. So this way, it is recorded. So anybody who needs to catch up on anything or you forget anything, you can always just go back and check the recording. Let me go ahead and...
Is Calibra on the board? I guess I saw her at the last meeting.
No, you know what? We should bug her and get her to be on the board.
I mentioned it to her.
We should bug her. Okay.
A lot of energy.
All right. So here's what, let me find. The biggest thing I was going to look at is Jen was nice enough to go through and make up a whole list of she kind of chopped up a lot of the things that we do and put it into roles to make it a little easier for it to chunk down so that we could take a look at, you could take a look, see if there's anything that fits you and some stuff that you like to do. And then we can kind of chop up the roles and responsibilities of what we have and what we do as ACE so that it makes it a little easier for stuff to get done. So let me share my screen with you all and you guys can take a look at, I'm on my husband's computer and his computer, I hate how he has this set up. I'm trying to figure out where the share thing is because it's totally different on his computer. I'll find it. Come on, there we go, share. Okay, so let's share this. Okay, let me know when it's up. And we'll start going over it.
Can we make it bigger?
Yes, I can.
Jen, I love the basically Steve.
Well, you know what? Steve ends up doing it all anyways and loves coming, he loves talking about it all. So it works out perfect. And it makes everybody happy. So just for the basics, we have chair and co-chair, host/run meetings, along with providing audience input and navigate through previously prepared agenda, I can never say that word, with district personnel and ESE advisory chair concerning, but not limited to, issues within the ASD student population within BCPS, attend other meetings within DAC, main advisory, school board, etc., which an appointed ACE representative can attend if needed, preferred. So that does not, just so you understand, that does not mean that just because you're chair or co-chair that you have to attend every single meeting. We just try to spread ourselves out a bit so that we are out there and people know who we are, what we are, and what we do. It does not mean that the chair and the co-chair have to go to every meeting all over the place. Vice chair, so if we do end up having like someone who wants to do chair, someone who wants to do vice chair, this is what they can do. Responsible to step in when the chair is unable to attend meetings, coordinate duties between chair and vice chair. Secretary can be split into recording and corresponding, responsible for meeting attendance records, update email lists, create Facebook events for meetings, and advertise accordingly. Board members attend executive planning meetings and general meetings, come forward with topics and information acquired from the community, assist with advertising meetings and topics, and then the legislative rep, we just laughed and put basically Steve. So totally open to input as far as what you all think about this list, and also if anything is screaming out to anyone, please feel free to jump in and we can throw you down for hi, I like doing that and I can do that. Let me know what you guys are thinking.
Jen, just so I'm clear, and I apologize, I had to wrap up a call there, but you guys are needing positions, you need all these positions filled?
Well, we don't, as far as ACE goes, we don't have to have specific positions filled. We just broke them down like this just to make getting those jobs done easier. So you don't have, the only position we really need filled technically is chair. Other than that, these other things are just to make it easier to break down responsibilities. That's really all. But the only position we technically have to have filled is chair. Other than that, breaking it down like this just makes it a little easier so that all the responsibility isn't stuck on one person.
Okay, and I know that there was some chatter going whether it was some was going to be virtual, maybe some mornings, maybe some afternoons, maybe every other month. And if you said this, I am so sorry.
Oh, we haven't even
step up and
we did not get to that. And I'll skip ahead a little bit and go ahead and answer that just to make it easier so that we can hit that. We are going to go ahead and set a tentative schedule for now to make things easier for Jackie so we can get the ball rolling on that.
Mm-hmm.
What we had discussed, and as long as it's okay with you guys, because like I said, I'm not going to be here, but I'm more than glad. Well, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I'm more than glad to organize things until we have things set up and firmer organized. So, sorry,
Jen,
brain
can I
fart
make
for a
suggestion?
second. Yes, go ahead.
I think keep it simple, because I think subcommittees can be kind of fairly self-run as long as you just set out. I think a committee just needs dates, and the key
Right.
thing is just having a really, really hard, solid
Totally
agenda
agree.
of speakers and topics for meetings, and then laying them out for, say, the first quarter or even first semester, then takes a lot of heat off this kind of stumbling from one meeting to the next of like, oh, what are we going to talk about? Or just having, you know, a talking shop or not having a presenter lined up. I think a good thing would just be to have, if there were all these people willing to take on these roles, we could use them on main advisory, but it's difficult enough getting them from main advisory.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
I was
think-
just splitting it up just to make it a little easier to
yeah,
have
I think
the
you need
responsibilities split up so that it's not all on one person. That's all. Because
Yeah.
it gets to be too overwhelming for one person to handle, especially when a lot of us have incredibly crazy time. So
it does.
it's all good. However it gets taken care of, as long as it gets taken care of, it's all good. But I completely agree with you as far as the schedule goes and lining things up and lining up speakers. Could not agree with you more.
Yeah, because I think I think the danger is having a whole lineup of folks who have, you know, on a board, but what are they actually doing? So I think it's a good thing to have specific duties, and I think chair or two co-chairs and a secretary are the main thing.
And that's really, if you look at that, that's pretty much what it says.
Yeah. So I don't mind helping out, you know, and taking on a co-chair position. I just do want to hear though, you know, because me physically attending meetings all during the mornings, I'm just going to be honest, my schedule does not permit, but I believe there's other interested parties that maybe we can kind of rotate. So have we discussed that, or can you discuss what we're thinking as far as the schedule for next school year? Will it be virtual? Will it be in person, mornings, afternoons, every other month?
I think if you were willing to co-chair, I think it should be up to whoever's going to be chairing or co-chairing as to what the schedule is. I don't think it should be for somebody to make a schedule and then someone to step into it. I think it should be according to, you know, volunteerism is hard to find. So while we're told stuff like, well, we should vary when meetings are held in order to make it convenient for everybody, I think if you find volunteers that are willing to do anything, it should be on their, you know, their terms, the schedule. So, sorry, over to you, Jen, but I feel strongly that it should be up to whoever's chairing or co-chairing to determine the agenda.
That would be why I wanted to have as many people here as possible. You know, we had kind of all talked before about doing, you know, everyone had kind of voiced that they wanted to go to every other month. you guys let me know what you're thinking. I am totally open to scheduling whatever you guys think you want to do. So I already have up here, or I can, you know, if you don't want to take up meeting time doing it, just let me know what you're looking at, and I can go through the school calendar and set it up, and then pop it in the chat for everyone to take a look at. You can okay it or not, that's fine. If you want to go with monthly, that's fine. If you want to go with every other month, that's fine. What are you guys thinking? What would work good for you?
Okay, this is
Hi, this is Jasmine Clemens. Can I say something? Sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm actually at Publix and I'm running around here. Like for me personally, afternoons are good for me, and also every month or every other month, it works fine with me. So however I can support, you know, I know Isela, you said you're willing to be a co-chair. Like I want to like be your support, or, you know, so, you know, I see that there's like, there are those different positions, you know, like I think in my opinion, I think it would be simpler, like the way Jackie described it, like if we're just down to like 3 positions or whatever, because I see a lot of the things that are required, and I see I can, you know, help fill in a lot of those parts. So that's just, you know, what I can help out with. So you guys, you know, that's just my opinion. That's my 2 cents.
I have a question, Jackie and Jen, you mentioned last time that were the subcommittees going to start pre-planning like what kind of presenters they were going to have? Because let's say one day it's at Arthur Ashe and it's something where like, let's say dyslexia is having the same speaker. Are people going to drive all the way to Arthur Ashe, for example, if they could just see it virtual there? You see what I'm saying?
No,
like, anyone on the same page?
Yeah, that's something what I would really like to do is have the committees really, and that's something that should be coordinated through main advisory, is that all the advisories really, the chairs or co-chairs need to be going to the, you know, talking through Jackie so that we can coordinate what the meeting topics are. Because it has gotten a little out of hand with people scheduling topics at the last second. And a lot of times there'll be no topics, or, you know, sometimes that does happen, things that are out of your control where somebody cancels at the last second. Heck, it's happened to me a few times. It happens. But for the main part, it would be so much better if we were all coordinating together regarding topics. We'd get much meatier topics, better attendance for everybody. And it would just benefit advisory as a whole. That's just how I feel about it.
Wanted to put my 2 cents in. Traditionally, like what we've seen over the past 3 years when we're tracking like how our attendance and things like that, we usually start off strong in the beginning of the year, kind of fade off towards the end. And there's certain months like December's hard to get anybody out, because under non-COVID circumstances, when things are semi-normal, everyone's traveling or they've got plans with family and Christmas and Hanukkah events and stuff like that. So like December has always been a low attendance month. So if we did every other month, say we started in September, like skipped over October, did November, come back in January, like staggered it like that, I think it would be good. And when we did our main advisory executive meeting, I think when we were talking, Jackie and Jen, I had asked if we could maybe do like the group chat and try to coordinate the chairs with the information for the topics and stuff, because we have overlapped a few times and our speakers sometimes are the same. And like I can go to the dyslexia committee and, you know, have a speaker that's there that I might see a month later that Bach has with Down syndrome. And it's not like it's not good information. It gets just repetitive.
Yeah, it does. And it doesn't get advertised, you know. A lot of times I've not known what groups are doing and what their speakers are, or they don't have a speaker at all. And I think if we're going to be really good, strong, meaningful groups, we need to, I think a priority today rather than dates would be, first of all, decide who's leading it. That's awesome. If Isela, if you're willing to co-chair, if there's somebody else who wanted to co-chair with you, I would step back and just be in a supporting role rather than chairing or anything. I'd be happy with that.
And Jasmine, you had said you were cool with that, correct?
She didn't say co-chair.
Oh, yeah. I thought you had. Jasmine. I'm sorry. Yes or no?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Yes. I said yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, we're good then.
Okay. So
another suggestion, maybe instead of doing every other month, since we have so many other committees, Jackie, what if all the committees, and I guess we'd have to see if they'd be interested in doing this, but doing 3 meetings a year and hosting, because technically speaking, we all get the same information anyhow, right? So if I wanted to attend a Down syndrome group because the topic is, would be beneficial to my child, it's just a thought. I don't know why. Maybe we don't even need to have it 4 times a year.
I don't like that, because there are a lot of parents that want to attend these meetings, and to limit them, if we can avoid that, especially right now. And I'm just speaking because I know of a lot of parents that, especially now that Zoom has been available, and I'm hearing in the community that they're interested in more, not less.
Okay.
Not
and I hear
Where
that.
are they all?
Yeah, I was going to say, because I sit on the board for CARD, and they're even our groups are not being as well attended, and there's several through the month. So, I mean, and if the community's needing it, I'm all for that. And I like the idea of the 4 times in September, November,
CARD,
January, and March.
Yeah, I'm familiar with CARD. I mean, my son is 12 now, and I've been with CARD since he was diagnosed. And to tell you the truth, that's not a really good finger on the pulse of the community. And I'm just going to say that because I know the community that I'm talking about, and I'm a part of CARD in that regard. And I've not really looked to CARD. I've looked to Stacy. I've looked to ACE. ACE has been, I talked to a friend this morning, and just as an example, she literally said that she made the determination to hold her child back after interacting with the ESC advisory, after interacting with ACE. You know what I'm saying? I don't hear that from CARD. As a matter of fact, I hear the opposite with regards to CARD. So I don't know if that's a good litmus test, but you know what? I don't know, because then if only 2 people show up for every meeting, then I'll be like wrong. So.
Well, and it's not that you're wrong. I just think CARD's not going to give advice on retaining either. That's not, it's more different topic related, but it doesn't matter.
Name?
That's just another.
Your name is showing up as Jasmine, and then there's another Jasmine.
Ami Salaheim. I don't know why I'm showing up as Jasmine. That's so weird.
Am I the only one that's seeing her as Jasmine?
No, I'm seeing it as Jasmine too.
Because I guess I sent you my link. Remember?
Like,
no. Oh, that's why.
Sorry.
I fixed it.
I'm going to be calling you Jasmine.
All right, hold on. I'm going to see if I can change that. No, Ami Salaheim. But anyhow, so.
I fixed it.
Sorry.
Thank you. So I'm fine. I mean, I would not be able to commit to monthly. I just have to be honest and tell you guys, I sit on too many boards. I'm kicking off 2 programs also in August, on top of representing almost 300 kids in this district. So I can't do monthly.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, if you wanted to, if you guys feel that there's a need for monthly, then we need other people to be able to step up and do those meetings is all. So I'm not saying no, don't do monthly. I'm just saying if you guys want to do monthly and you think there's really enough need, then we need to make sure that we've got coverage to do monthly.
Absolutely.
So Isela,
I guess the kicker
can I just step in here? I'm not clear. If Isela and Jasmine are going to co-chair, which is awesome, should this not just be their discussion, and then like Isela and Jasmine, you need to set what you feel you can do, and then or if you want to, like, what is your sense of how often you would like to have ACE meetings?
In my years of experience having, Carla, hi Carla, by the way, my name's Isela. I have a 21-year-old with autism, and he started in this district. I'm born and raised here in Broward County. So in all the meetings and all the years, Jen Gray hit it. There's months where it's not well attended. So in my experience and years in doing this, I would think that those high months, or that September, that November, the January, and the March, I would say 4 times. But of course, if there's a need in the community, I'm flexible. The only other thing we need to think about.
You're extremely busy, and I'm also busy on boards. I'm an attorney, so I have my own practice. I am on another board. I'm on 2 other boards, so I get the busyness. But the thing is, I guess I'm talking about my experience and you're talking about yours. So I remember, are we talking about the Baldwin meetings that we used to attend? And weren't those monthly, or am I wrong about that? They weren't monthly for the most part, except for holidays?
They were monthly, but here's the thing. We're all volunteers.
Those were well attended.
Not all of them.
Well, of course, not all of them, but,
no, but
or maybe it's a meeting me, and maybe it's been the years that, you know, all
There
I
was
know
a lot-
is that
There was a
there
lot
has
of mismatch.
all I
Like-
know is that there has to be a lifeline for autistic parents. And the lifeline is not the PTA board. Sometimes it's not the ESC director at the school. The only lifeline that I know of from kids, from parents that I interact with on a more or less basis, and from what my experience was not CARD at all. I tried to make CARD my lifeline, and I'm just using that as an example. All I know is that whenever I talk to parents that have made their way through this Broward County system, the ACE has been the lifeline. And to cut that lifeline off to 3 or 4 meetings, I don't know. But if
So
nobody's
you're thinking,
gonna,
so you're thinking monthly. So are you able to be a co-chair and help out with that
I'm
as well?
trying to figure out when you guys are gonna, listen, absolutely, if you guys can tell me how you're gonna do it. Like, is it gonna be in person or is it gonna be via Zoom? But I'm there, I have a great deal of flexibility in my career because of what I do. But the thing is, I need to know what you guys are gonna do. So I guess it's like cart before the horse. If you're gonna have them in person, or if you guys have decided you're gonna have them hybrid or whatever, I think that's really what my question is. Will I be doing it every month? No. But will I be willing to take on a few months? Absolutely. Absolutely. Not as co-chair, but if you say, hey, Carla, we need you to handle these 3 months, I'm in. So, yeah, in a nutshell.
So maybe
But it
we
doesn't
should have
sound
that
like that's what you
conversation.
guys wanna do.
Can we do hybrid? Because I personally prefer virtual. But, again, my son's a lot older. The younger parents, I don't know if they need more face-to-face. It's different. So
Okay,
With
we've
your
got
schedule,
Jen
Stella.
and Jackie have their hands up, so I didn't see who had theirs up first. Did you guys notice, Jen or Jackie?
No, it's
Mine
okay.
was
you
from
go ahead.
earlier. Mine was from earlier, and I can't figure out how to put it back down.
Okay, I'll lower it for you. Okay,
Thank
Jackie,
you.
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
No, it's okay. I put my hand up when Carla started speaking because I was going to say, I'm sorry, but if people are volunteering, they're going to have to set their schedule. I don't think folks like Stella and Jasmine can be told how often they need to do it. So
that's why I said I'd volunteer too, and I agree with you totally.
Yeah.
I've been on boards and been chairing boards. I'm not a baby. I know exactly what you're saying.
Okay,
I've been
but
doing this for years.
right,
So, yeah,
great.
I just think that they can't,
Can I just finish my
yeah.
thought?
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. So yes, ACE has been a lifeline for a number of folks, but I'm not seeing that there's actually been huge numbers this year, and I think a lot of people also look to Maine Advisory. So don't forget, you've also got that as a kind of that catches people too. We have meetings every single month, the Maine Advisory meetings. So I think a lot come to those. So bear that, factor that in as well, that it's not like they don't have anywhere to go. These are committees. We've got to decide, is it a committee of advisory, in which case it's a subgroup under the umbrella of ESE advisory, and it feeds on up to advisory. Or is it going to be a support group? If it's going to be, a working group where you're going to be, in addition to, having speakers and presentations and, kind of a help forum, if you're going to be actually discussing business that's to come before the school board, making, deciding among yourselves recommendations and then putting them up before the ESE Advisory Council for a formal vote, or whether you're kind of going to do that business through the back door, whereby if you're not discussing things that are going to come up for vote before the school board, that are going to become firm formal recommendations, then you can kind of be more of a support group role, and I think meet virtually. But if there's going to be stuff coming up that's going to become more formal business, then Sunshine Law does not allow everything to just happen in the virtual space. I've just texted the Chief of Staff's office to see if I can get some definitive guidance on what the structure would need to be. But at the moment, public bodies cannot meet and conduct business in a virtual space. You can only hold informational only meetings, right, in online.
But I would say the majority
You could
of our
keep those
stuff is
meetings
informational
informational only, but I think you just need to make clear if ACE is kind of going to be switching to that kind of a role.
I
Or
thought ACE was always informational, like
Well,
informational and support.
I would
no?
say
We could make
that
it that.
some of our meetings are, I would say maybe, as an option, we could do maybe a meeting or two a year that's in person. I don't know, maybe that's an option. And then that way any business that needed to be brought up that would be put before the board could be brought up then. I don't know, is that possibly
Yeah.
an option we could look at? Because I would say a good 75 to 80% of our meetings, yeah, it is purely informational.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to have that option. Plus, I think that now that things are getting back to normal, it would be nice to be able to have an in-person meeting or two. But I'm just throwing suggestions out there and not trying to put my, 2 cents in. And I did see a hand up. Did I miss who it was? Did I miss anybody?
Jennifer Gray
Yes.
is up.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay.
Oh, and
Jen?
Melissa Ramos. I'm sorry. And
Oh,
Melissa
okay. I
was
think
up.
Melissa was first. Was Melissa first or Jen? I didn't notice.
Melissa.
I was just gonna say, I want to support the chairs how we can. If let's work around what they can do, what schedule, and let's go from there. I mean, Estella and Jasmine, what can we do to help you? And let's go from there.
I'm
Because
totally
you
in
two are the
agreement
ones
with that.
chairing it.
Yeah, I'm not in disagreement with that just because I feel like maybe that was sort of directed at me. I absolutely agree with that. And like I said, if they need me to run a meeting, give me notice and I will absolutely do it because I do have the flexibility to be able to do that. So I'm totally in agreement with that.
And Carla can talk.
I'm just saying, I just know, I'm just listening and I'm just like heartfelt about this because I'm like, I'm on the phone and I'm listening and I'm like, I guess because I feel like I'm in the trenches and I feel and I see what's going on and I'm like, but like I said, I will help you in any way I can. If you want to only do 4, if you only want to do 3, we'll just do it that way and
So,
Carla, fill in
Carla,
the blank.
how about something else that is important to do is to keep minutes of meetings. Again, I think we're in breach of not necessarily having done that. I have to do them for advisory by working through videos and stuff for hours again afterwards. All these jobs are important to do. So if you wanted to,
You see my head shaking now? I will run a meeting. I will call people. I'll get speakers. I'll bring the cups. The only thing that I will not do is do minutes for meetings. Why?
I can do minutes.
It's not my thing. It's not my thing. So I did
Gotcha,
it for the
Melissa.
PTA board at my school and found out that wasn't my thing. But I also got basically Memorial Hospital to do entire health fair. So yeah, I stand my
Isela, I'd be happy if
Yes.
it would help. If it would help, I'd be happy to chair one meeting a quarter if you folks wanted to up it so that, if you're feel able to do a certain number, you and Jasmine, I'd be happy to step in with an occasional one and chair an occasional meeting, and I'd be happy to do it in person on, like once a quarter or something, if that would help up the number of meetings that are being held.
I think if we do, and again, it's hard. I want to give what our community needs because it's, I understand and respect what you're saying, but at the end of the day, if parents are really looking forward to this, I want to support that need. So let's decide that first. Do we need more than 4 a year? Obviously the summer, no one comes to summer things. September, it's a month after the school starts. November, because you're right about December, everyone's frantic December. January and March. So is that good? Do we feel that your community, as far as ACE, I haven't gone to many ACE because they were during the day and I can't do during the day. I can't. Maybe if it's virtual, that will allow me to do during the day, but if I physically have to be there, it definitely poses difficulty for me. So let's decide that. Is 4 good? Do we feel 4 is good? And I know Jasmine and I are both saying that evenings are better for us. With notice, I'm sure I can do,
Is everyone else frozen to me?
that,
There
if
we
that
go.
works out.
Sorry, Isela, I think we missed you there. You just froze
Oh.
for about 20 seconds.
Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can.
Okay, perfect. So is four good? I mean, do we feel that 4 would reach our community? Yes.
I think it would, because you've got advisory monthly in between as well, and you've got other committees that are going to be scheduling useful things too. I think 4 is good.
Right.
I think if folks, I think 4 is good.
Why don't we go with 4 for right now? And Jasmine, go ahead and hop in. Jasmine?
Sorry, it's just hard for me to do this on my phone. I'm used to doing it on my computer. I apologize.
Oh, I get it.
I think starting with 4, I think that works well. I really want to know, because I really haven't been able to attend the meetings because they're in the morning. Like what's the feel, like how many attendees do we get? I think we should have as many meetings as we can do, and also as many meetings as what's the word that I'm looking for? That's, let's not, waste time. Like we have one every month and we have, very, a low attendance rate. Like I totally, we should definitely not do one in December. And, I know we have to do one in January, but January meetings, I think, tend to also not have a lot of people, is from my experience. So I think we should do 4, commit to 4, and also just get your opinions, like, both Jens, like, how have they been attended, and what we should do from there, just to be most effective. That's the word I'm looking for, to be most effective and not waste time, like have a bunch of meetings that, and then so many of them aren't really very well attended.
Okay, Melissa, then Jen.
Just quickly, I'm not sure if this is ACE or for the Broward ESE advisory, but if you still need help with a PALS program, I can help with that, because I think we brought it up at one of the ACE meetings with Steve. So
yeah, we're going to focus on that for ACE this year. Yeah,
okay,
that was definitely
so
a project we're going to focus on for ACE. Yeah, awesome. Okay, and then Jen.
Was wondering if you guys, like, if you're sticking to the 4, that I agree with that, but one of the other lower attendance months was January. And if you do every other month starting in February, then you would bump to April, which is autism awareness, if that makes sense. So you would have off December and January for your least attended, and then you'd have February, skip March, which includes spring break anyways, and then you'll have April for autism awareness, and then that's it, you're good.
I think that's a great idea. There's no, and it's not like we're not accessible if families need us, right? So if
Great.
Could you say that again so I can write that down? I'm sorry, there's other noise in my ear.
So it would be September, November, February, and April. And then the other thing that I was going to say is, I know that COVID, messed with a lot of things, but we have the Facebook page, we have the Gmail, like we do get emails from people and they reach out through us through Facebook Messenger. I still get people coming for Bodwin for me. Yeah. So it's out there. It's just, I think everybody was really stressed out this year and a lot of things were convoluted and we didn't know how to handle Zoom stuff. And like we did the best we could, but usually when there's people in person, then it's different. Like when kids are in school, I mean.
I think that's a good plan.
I think this sounds really great to start with. Do you have a preference for time to start off with?
So, are we going to do, can we do hybrid? Can we do, we talked about a few different ideas about 2 meetings being just in person. Should we do 2 in person, 2 virtual? What do you guys think? Because then I think we could determine time once we determine that.
My issue was a location, right? Don't you? It's a little like Arthur Ashe.
We can't use Bodwin.
That's what.
No, the parking. They're charging for parking now.
It's so hard to get out.
No, they're charging for parking too. Like all of Nova's campus is charging for parking. So there is no free parking if you have a meeting at Bodwin. And from what I understand, they've completely changed their structure of the upstairs. Like you have to pay in order to use their meeting rooms now.
So Arthur Ashe, I think, is always a option because that's where ESLS are based. So I think they're always guaranteed to find you a room with adequate notice. Another venue that is sometimes available is at Beacon, Beacon TV, which is a school TV station. They're in Davie. if that helps. I think Arthur Ashe is a good, I think that's kind of accessible from, it's pretty central, isn't it?
We've had good response when we've had things over at Arthur Ashe before as far as location. It is actually fairly central to the county. It may not be central for some people, but it is fairly central to the county. So we tend to have good response to people who are north and south. So it's one of those, I mean, honestly, I'd love to have stuff way more south, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But so everything's kind of a trip for
you
me.
can pick a school, and again,
right.
The district would help facilitate it at a school like Indian Ridge Middle is somewhere I go for some meetings, and you know, Piper High, that's quite northwest, but whatever. I think, Isela, when you say hybrid, do you mean one meeting being both online and in person, or do you mean splitting it up because do you mean live streaming a meeting as well
Live streaming.
as?
Yeah, so if someone wants to be there in person, they can be in person, or they
Yes.
can participate in their own homes or from their workplace.
I think if you're having 4 meetings a year, it would be good for them all to be in person with a live streaming option, or at least recording. Sometimes live streaming is difficult. For example, at Piper High, we found signals were shot away. And again, it's just what we can manage. Personally, I think in person, and I would be happy if any of those gave you a problem in actually getting to physically, and you would be rather be online but still have an in-person venue as well. I'd be happy to help, you know, and actually be physically present somewhere if you preferred to be online for that particular meeting. Do you see what I mean? So, but I think for all 4 of those, offering them as in-person meetings with either a live stream or a recording as well would be good. Then that gives people that.
Yeah, I think it would be great to be live stream, you know, like Isela said, hybrid. I think that's like the best of both worlds. And like, I can commit to, you know, always having that set up, and if we have to be there somewhere physically, I would definitely commit to being there physically, because I know Isela, you know, has a busier schedule than me. So, you know.
But if it's afternoons, we might be okay with that. So that goes now to that question. Would the 4 be, and for the parents, because I'm thinking of the young parents, right? Like, that's hard when you have young kids, afternoon meetings. So should we do 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon? Because then I think that's now that conversation.
That's doable. For me, it's definitely doable. Like 2 in the morning, 2 in the
Which would you
afternoon,
prefer?
definitely.
And I'll pop it on the schedule like that. Which would you prefer, mornings, and which would you prefer, afternoons? And then after we figure that out, then it's Carla.
Well, no, I'm just, because everybody's kind of chiming in, so I stopped raising my hand. I'm just going to chime in. If you're going to have it, if the teachers are able to do what they're able to do with regards to kids at home and in person, can't we just use their same system if we're going to be at Arthur Ashe? That's my question for anyone.
You mean Teams?
Yeah, or just, Teams.
Yeah, the actual technology and who uses what platform could be figured out, but you can either use Teams or Zoom. The school district prefers that you use Teams, but there can be somebody, if you were at Arthur Ashe, say if September, if you start, I don't know which people prefer morning or afternoon, but if you did 2 of each, if you're at Arthur Ashe, there's technical folks that can help set up the technology.
Okay, that was my question. So that wouldn't be an issue into determining whether or not we'd have a meeting. That was my only question.
Yeah, it needn't be.
So I know for me, I know the mornings times, September and March, I would ask, like, if we're looking at that, to do those 2 months in the morning, and then we keep November and April in the afternoon, like, I guess like 4-ish. That's the time you guys do it now, right, Jen and Jen?
We
At
alternate.
4?
We've been doing 4 or 6:30. The 4 o'clocks, it's convenient for some and it's convenient for others. Like the 4 o'clocks were convenient for the parents that were home in the afternoons, but like being home, everybody was home more or less. So getting online wasn't a big deal. But I think 4 o'clock, if everyone's back at physical work, is going to be difficult for people to see. or go to. The 6:30s, I mean, that's more or less the same time that advisory starts, and we don't run as long as advisory, so.
And I'm fine. For me, it doesn't matter. I don't have little ones. So 6:30 is fine for me. Sorry, but I'm just saying I can do that. If Jasmine, I know your boy's still in elementary school, but is that too late for you if we did like 6:30?
Yeah, 6:30 works. I think 6:30 works a little bit better for me because I do have little ones. So.
And morning time preference. Do we want to go 9:30, 10 o'clock? What's better?
Depends where you're holding.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Are you thinking of the more? Oh yeah, yeah. Baldwin's out, isn't it? But we used to find that the morning ones were useful for the Baldwin crowd. So if they're not going to be at Baldwin, then...
Not necessarily. I mean, like for me, I have both my kids in elementary school. So for me to try to go to an evening meeting or an afternoon meeting is really hard. But if I drop off my kids at school and I can go to a 10 o'clock meeting, there's no conflict. I have somebody watching my kids.
I was kind of thinking 10 might be a little easier too for the people who are trying to make
for
drop-offs.
school and elementary, that would work.
Right, because I was always having a
agree.
little bit of a hard time getting there by, getting there to be set up and everything by 9:30. The other thing,
And middle school too.
Yeah.
Middle school a lot of them start at 9:30. So
Yes,
yeah, I think 10
ma'am.
is better.
And the
Yeah, I
thing
agree.
too, I was having just a kind of a note that we weren't having a ton of people from Baldwin coming towards the end, but not a lot. So just so
Okay.
you know, I don't think we're going to be losing a ton of people from Baldwin.
Cool. Yeah, 10 sounds good.
That works. That works.
Sorry for the boring stuff. It's just, I think it's really good to hash this stuff out and that we all do it in a great, because I didn't want to just do all this for you. And then this way we all get it out and we're done and
No, this is
we're not
great. I
hee-hawing
think-
about all this. Okay,
No, we need-
executive
I think
board
we need-
meetings.
The collaboration is great.
Should we go ahead? We usually try and coincide these around when, maybe like the week before or 2 weeks before we normally have that meeting. Does that sound, do you want a week before, 2 weeks before? What do you like? What times?
Okay,
Are you
why do
going
we
to
have
have
to
an
have?
executive board?
That's what I was going to say. Why do you need this? Why do we need executive board? I mean,
Well,
if we
if you
all
don't think
collaborate,
if you don't think you need it, I'm fine with that. It's totally up to you guys. We had it just because it was good for us to be able to get together and, spitball stuff when we were having issues. We just, but we just do it like this. We always did it virtually. So, totally up to you. Go ahead.
I
Jackie.
think, again, you could minimize on meetings by making the main advisory, like we do now. We have, I think we have 3 or 4 executive board meetings this year for ESE advisory, main advisory. And I've always invited committee chairs to those so that they can be there too. I mean, they're public meetings, anybody can come, but really they've just been, us. So you could always just double barrel the executive board meetings for advisory with all that, just continue having committee.
Amen. I'm down with that.
At those,
Let's do
because
it.
all you've got to, if you've got just 4 meetings, all you've got to discuss is, is you're setting up meetings, what issues are coming up, and hopefully you're talking about those in between meetings anyway. So, if there's issues and themes and complaints and systemic problems coming up from among the autism community that are being channeled to ACE and not to ESE advisory, and that you're hearing stuff that whoever's on advisory needs to know about, that can all just be discussed at one executive board meeting.
Totally correct, and I think that's a beautiful thing. The less extra meetings we have to have, the better. I'm down.
Yeah, it also then just I think it keeps it more kind of a cleaner setup. If you have a board, what is that board actually doing? What are their roles and tasks? So if you're going to have a secretary who's just going to do some minutes and make sure that things get advertised properly, that would be your one good extra role to have, I think. But beyond that, yeah.
No, I'm totally good. I think that's beautiful. That works for me. So that looks good. We've got that. Let me just check. I made a list of things. Now, do we want to keep Zoom? If we're going to have these meetings in person and they can do Teams, then we don't really need to keep Zoom, do we?
Your only thing with Zoom is that you're able to live stream it to Facebook, aren't
That's
you? Which
correct.
you can't with
That's
Teams.
exactly.
Uh,
That's the only thing that's a plus about Zoom. It's the only platform that allows you to stream directly to Facebook.
right. But
You get a
equally,
lot of traffic that way. So that's up to you guys. The only thing is then we'd have to get that taken care of with district money, since right
Yeah.
now it's coming out of my pocket and I'm not going to be here.
It shouldn't. I think why not just go to Teams? I mean, everybody has Teams. Everybody's had a year of using Teams. And again, if you were needing tech support at Arthur Ashe, that's what they would be working on too. They know how to set up Teams in a room.
And I have Zoom too for the business, for my business. So if we needed to do something like just I'll pop on and talk as a board or whatever too, I
Beautiful.
can always just set it up. So.
Okay, it looks like we've got awesome. Oh my gosh, we covered just about everything on my list. The only other thing I wanted to cover is that anyone who needs the, who's going to be doing stuff that needs the login for the ACE, the drive, the Google Drive, let me know. I will get that to you. And the other thing I want to know, as long as I've got Jackie on here, do we want to set up how are we going to handle the website as far as contributors for the ACE page? Do you want me to, how do you want to do that? I'm okay with still, I just don't know how available I'll be as far as, when I'm up and back between here and Alabama and stuff. Does anyone else know website stuff at all?
I think I can handle it. Not that I know a lot of website stuff, but my husband kind of he's a programmer and he kind of builds websites for a living. So anything I don't know, he can teach me. But if you can just guide me, Jen,
Wix
and
is super easy if you're even slightly computer literate.
Yeah, I'm fairly computer literate. So
I mean, it's one of those things. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not
user-friendly.
User-friendly. Yeah, it just kind of guides you the way you need to go. If it's very intuitive, that's the word I was looking for. So you don't have to overthink it, and it's pretty easy. Yeah. So I'll touch base with you later, and we'll talk about just so you can make updates to
and
the ACE
about
page
the minutes. Really quick about the minutes. I mean, I don't know how difficult is it. I've never done it before, so I don't know.
Ours don't have to be well. At least the way I've been doing, I don't do them as detailed as Jackie does, and I've never thought that ACE needed to be super detailed. But if you think we need to be super detailed, Jackie, feel free to chime in. I just never since
they just
recorded anyways.
A requirement of Sunshine, and here's the thing. There are 9 school board members, right? And each of those school board members is meant to have an appointee to ESE advisory. They're not required to come to subcommittee meetings, but it'd be nice if any of them want to. We'll make sure they have the calendar. But the idea is that those appointees are meant to be a bridge between us and the school board, in addition to the chair making addresses to the school board meetings or being in touch individually with school board members. And having notes and minutes from the committees is going to be one more really good tool to keep those appointees up to speed with issues coming up. So say if you have a meeting and you've got a presentation on something or other, a guest speaker, you don't necessarily need to log every spit and cough that they say. You could just say, presentation by whatever. But I think noting down and having a written record of some of the issues coming up, again, without without identifying, Jane Smith said her daughter has an issue at such and such a school, but having a record of some of the themes of complaints or issues or, good, bad, and ugly stuff that's coming up, having that record is yet another tool to be given to these appointees to help them be passing on to their school board members, who they're meant to be reporting to on a regular basis, what are some of the things to be aware of. So as well as just being a kind of statutory requirement, I think they're a useful communication tool. They don't need to be long, but just even bullet points of themes and issues that have come up at a meeting or things that were discussed or information that was given out. It's just kind of a sort of aid memoir, really.
Yeah, that's
That
about,
doesn't sound, that's something I can do, definitely.
that's about what I can send you over, you know, I'll show you where I've been keeping them on the Google Drive so you can take a peek and see kind of what we've been doing. But
And they
I
need
do
to be
think that
public
we
record.
should, yeah, and I usually put a link on, you know what, I'm gonna have to change that since we don't have the website going anymore. So I'll flip things around and, okay, sorry, I don't need it. I'll figure it out so that it's more public-y.
Yeah,
I'll
they
figure
need
this
to
out.
all be.
You know what? We'll put it. I can link it
Sounds good.
also. It goes on to the main advisory website, and everybody's will go on. We can do that, so everybody's will be all linked together and taken care of. I got it. Okay. I had sorry. I think out loud, so I'll figure that. I'll fix that.
Another thing too, I mean, if we have agendas going into this, which we should, you can even in essence just take minutes
That's
following
exactly
the agenda.
what I do. I take the
Yeah,
agenda,
it's super easy, and I
elaborate
can always-
onto it,
Yeah.
and that's exactly how I take minutes.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's definitely doable. So
Yeah,
for
between
me.
you and I, I'm sure we could do that.
yeah.
And they're
And
all
Melissa, 'cause
recorded.
Melissa
so-
offered to help too. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. That's perfect. I think that sounds good. And then, so are we still gonna fill in all these other positions? Like how, I mean, because I know, how many are there? Like 6 or something? How's that gonna work?
No,
And
no,
how-
no, we're
Yeah.
good. Because really what
We're
we were
good.
just talking about was we were saying, you know, board members, but we don't necessarily really need that. Because if
Exactly.
you really look at what it says, attend executive planning meetings and general meetings, come forward with
Yeah.
topics and information. That's, so really essentially, we don't necessarily
Okay.
have to have that. I mean, everyone is always welcome. But do we need to have
Exactly.
somebody specifically taking that position? No,
Yeah.
but do I,
Okay.
you know, is everyone always welcome and do we want you part of the team? Yes, of course. But
Okay.
the person, do we need to have someone to specifically claim that title? No.
Okay.
But
Okay.
so that's all I'm saying. So like Carla, for example, just because I don't
Mhm.
have her down as a specific title, does that mean I
Mhm.
don't want her coming to the executive board meetings or coming to all our
Exactly.
meetings? Heck no.
Exactly.
Does that mean that she's not a vital part of the team? Heck no. But that's what I'm trying to say. She's still an incredibly vital part of the team and can really help in amazing ways, but she doesn't have a specific title, and that's totally okay. We don't need to have specific titles for someone to be able to play an incredibly vital role and do
So
amazing things.
let me ask you guys, the last few years of your ACE meetings, are they more, and Jen and Jasmine, you guys come to my weekly group. So is it more support? Do we more run based on things that are happening? And it's like parents, it's kind of open dialogue. So parents have an opportunity to come and share what's going on, and we kind of help sort through it and resolve the concerns for families. Like, tell me how they've been running these last few years.
Go, Jen.
Sorry, I have weird background noise going on. I don't know. Never mind. Anyway, usually like we start off the agenda and Gary gives his update. So what's happening with autism in the different schools, how many cluster classes are there, how many schools are available, like, you know, standard stuff that he does. Depending on who we have or how many top like speakers, because we've had doubles sometimes, we'll give like one person 15-20 minutes for a presentation, or 30, whatever, or we have one person doing like 45. We let the presentation go forward, and then if people have questions for the presenter, then we allow for that. And then not much support, but we do open the floor at the end for anybody that has questions. But usually it's somebody, usually if somebody has a personal thing, they don't really usually shout it out and want to do it. They'll sidebar chat with Jen or I, or they'll put something in the messages or something like that. They don't typically bring it up at the meeting.
Okay, very good.
But that
And then-
happens, and that's fine
Sometimes.
too.
Oh yeah. No, and that's fine. And if anything, that's good, because I can really, you know, we can help families with that. So it's totally fine. And then
Right.
how long are the meetings? Are they 2 hours?
About an hour and a half usually,
Hour and a half, okay.
and that's usual. I mean, do sometimes they go over a little bit? Yeah, and I'm all for finishing
fine.
up early if we finish early.
Well,
Okay,
if you're having them,
that's
if
good.
you're having them
8
less
o'clock is good
regularly,
drinking time. It's all good. Go ahead, Jackie.
like
sorry.
an hour and a half monthly is gonna, like, you might want to extend if they're going to be
True,
quarterly.
true. I mean, 2 hours may be better
6
if
to
they're
8.
quarterly.
Or 6:30 to 8:30. That's what we're saying.
The
Right?
6 to 8 sounds great.
6:30. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that sounds perfect.
Okay. All right. So then we have to now pick dates, which we can always do on our own. We have to get those approved with Gary, right? Because Gary's at all our meetings. Just Gary, anyone else from the district as far as reporting?
Gary is our prime contact over there. But honestly, I tend to communicate with Jackie pretty, Jen and I communicate with Jackie with just about everything. And then if we need to run something up to the district directly, it's Gary. But Jackie honestly is amazing. I mean, it's been great. We just communication really is the key when it comes to getting stuff done. We just all make sure that we really openly communicate, and that solves a ton of our problems.
Stella, I would suggest with setting specific dates, I'd propose that ESE advisory stays where it is, which has always been the third Wednesday of every month, unless there's a school holiday or school break in the way. In which case we hop to the following week. But all other advisories and committees are going to be setting their dates over the next sort of few weeks. And what we do is we tend to, here's how it works. There's a whole process for getting dates approved. It needn't affect subcommittees as heavily as it does main advisories, but we have to submit all our dates for meetings through a process at the school district, which involves a lot of form filling. So I think once you've decided your dates, it would be good for me to collect them all from all our committees and submit them all in one go, because it then involves it's honestly, I think last year it was something like 41 forms. It's completely ridiculous. But we put all those forms through the district. They then have to go up to Dan Gold to approve. You'll also want to maybe confer with Gary and check what dates he can actually make as well. So once you've got dates, pass them on to me and I'll put them all together with every other committee's dates and we can present them all in one go. It makes it easier at the district end if they have all of our dates all in one hit. So
agreed.
Okay.
Because honestly, I'm hoping they have somebody else handling the scheduling now, because my goodness, the person who was doing it before.
They do.
So we talked about the evening time. So the morning time is really quick, and then I'll go back to the days of the week. 10 a.m. to noon or 10 a.m. to 11:30? Should we always just give
I say give it longer, because if you need to make it shorter, you just break off and you'll go home. But if you actually set it,
10 to 12.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do 10 to 12. And then does it have to be on a Thursday? I know we talked about we're going to submit it, but I don't know if there's a specific day of the week, because I believe SLD does Tuesdays. I know we do Wednesdays as main ESE advisory. So are we trying to stick with certain days of the week, or that's open too?
We had been doing Thursdays, but that's your guys' call as to if you want to switch it. We just had to make sure it's not, you really don't want it conflicting with anything major going on in the district. But Jackie would probably be the best person to ask, since she belongs
which
to
is fine. So I know.
Yeah, Jackie just belongs to half, the 3/4 of the committees out there. So she would probably know what's the best date to plan something.
Right. There's no, so the calendar is set for next year for the school calendar, and you can find that online. But in terms of working around anything, there's nothing yet on the public calendar that's been put on. So we just put forward our dates, and then somebody will flag if it, or should flag if it clashes with another bunch of dates that they've had proposed as well. But for committee purposes, I think this is, it's never a big clash. I think with ESE advisory, we moved one meeting one time because it clashed with a parent university or something the district was doing. But for a subcommittee, I think you're good. I'd just go for what.
And if everyone's been used to Thursdays, well, maybe we should try to keep to Thursdays, right? Guys?
We had been
Carla.
Wednesdays, and we
Okay.
changed it to Thursdays because it was clashing for some people with some other district stuff, if I remember correctly, was why we had originally moved it.
Okay.
People were complaining that it was clashing with some district meeting. I don't even remember, but
Okay.
so we moved it to Thursdays, and that seems to be getting better attendance, but it's totally up to you guys. Not,
Okay.
your
Just
call.
asking. Alrighty. I'm done with questions.
And then also just to let you know, in terms of how to distribute it, again, you know, we need to get ourselves under people's noses more, because there wasn't proper start to school this year. You know, our calendar didn't get backpacked, but it did get sent out twice on email to all parents of students with disabilities. I think it should go to every parent in the district, personally, but I'll work on the calendar flyer over the summer so we get it done in time that it can get sent out to, I think it should go not only to in backpacks and be emailed out, and of course be on our social media and website and the Broward Schools website, but there's also now just been a whole big overhaul, or it's in process, an overhaul of all school websites. So that instead of each school website being different and some being really great and some being really crappy, all school websites are now going to be linked centrally, so that when there are events coming up that affect the whole district, it'll go on all school websites and there'll be some kind of a link on there. So we'll be able to get on there too in some form. And then I think we should also get it out to school advisory councils and to PTOs and to all ESE specialists. And there's been holes in that distribution system. So I think getting the dates in early and getting a flyer done early will help get it under more people's noses this year. So I'll work on that.
Okay, I went ahead and threw some dates in after looking at the BCPS calendar for 21-22, and I also saw that who had their hand up? I saw a hand up. Was there a hand up, or am I imagining things? Okay, I guess not. Alrighty, do we have anything else to cover?
Those are basically the first Thursdays of every month, right?
Yeah, that's the first Thursday of every month, and it doesn't clash with anything that's on the big calendar.
Okay.
So there's nothing that's clashing on the big calendar, and that's everything that was on my list to cover. But since this is now pretty much concluding and officially your group now, you guys, what do you want to cover?
Jasmine?
As bizarre as that is to say.
Some things that concern me is for lack of a better term, marketing, you know, like getting the word out that we exist. You know, I feel like there's still not enough parents that have children with autism who know that ACE is around. I remember, Jackie, you mentioned I think you mentioned, Jackie, something about our name. I mean, ACE is a great name, but do people know that that's an autism group, an autism committee?
Well,
So
that's what I was just talking about with our flyer. So it'll go to all. Yeah, I mean, whenever I rate, I don't think we've ever put ACE meeting. You know, ACE. I think we always put on the flyer.
Autism.
We put autism. I always put it.
Okay.
I mean, we make clear what it is.
Okay.
Yes.
And if we can do that, maybe, you know, on our page. I don't know. Like, just make sure that people know that ACE means. You know, ACE stands for Autism Committee. What?
I think we should also always say ACE brackets autism or autism brackets ACE. A lot of people, I mean, ACE does have some public awareness around its name, I think, for some of the older crowd. But yeah, ACE brackets autism is always good.
I do whenever I'm doing any of my marketing material. I always make sure I put ACE Autism Committee because and there are other ACE groups. So I like to make sure to differentiate us from the other groups because it's just easier that way. But yeah, no, I agree with you. It's just a good reminder to remember to always just put ACE Autism Committee. It just makes it easier for people so that they're not going, oh, what is that again? Just make sure that you put ACE Autism Committee.
Okay.
So I guess I need a basic picture of where we're going to go next. After we get off this call, then what's going to happen next? I mean, we got to get dates and all that kind of stuff. So just if anybody can just give me a general picture of how
I think we should.
Or what is this group? I mean, if we're not going to have board, are we a board or are we just committee people? What is this group?
It's a subcommittee of ESE advisory. Okay, so it's a kind of carve off of ESE advisory, so that in addition to ESE advisory, the main body, you have a little subgroup of folks who are all coalesced around one issue, which is autism. whereas
I
at
don't mean
ESC
the,
advisory.
I know what ACE is. I'm talking about us, us on this meeting right now. What are we called? Are we the committee? Or if we're not,
No, Stella and Jasmine have stepped up as co-chairs.
ACE. We are ACE. And I think the next steps is that we should, you know, I can send out an invite, or I think we all have, I think if we're all on the chat on the messenger, if not, we can get everyone's email on here. We can maybe have a meeting in the summer to kind of start talking about speakers and things like that, so I can have that lined up.
right.
Because I do think that that is great to have organized, and that way too we don't have duplication. So if we're going to have, you know, a conversation with, obviously behavior is typically going to be a you know, a very popular topic with our community. I would love to have, you know, CARD as well as our communication department, you know, either the program specialists that oversees the SLPs, but talking about AAC and communication. So whatever topics we decide as a committee, I can start working on getting the speakers lined up with the dates, so we have that done. But I think now moving forward, we're going to have a conversation of what we want out of these meetings and how we can all help each other. That's just my opinion and how I would suggest this moves forward.
I agree. I agree.
And then, so is everybody on that iMessenger? Is that the best way to communicate?
I didn't get most of the messages until somebody named Chan Singto or something came through. For some reason, I'm not sure what happened. I don't know.
Okay, so we can always do, you know, I love good old fashioned email. So we can always do an email, and or I don't know if, and Jackie, I'll keep you copied on everything too, so you're, you know, aware of what we're doing. But however, we need to establish that, and then I think we should, you know, perhaps July, the beginning of July, we kind of have a quick meeting, and I can set that up. I can set up a Zoom with us, and we can move forward with the plans. I'd rather have it all done and lined up, so that way there's no questions. We know who our speakers are lined up. Everything is done before school even starts.
What about having a little poster like in the front office with ACE? I mean, and you know, we have everything in the front office, just have like a little poster
Melissa,
for ACE.
I remember you raised that before, and that's on my to-do list as well. I think we could use that for all of advisory, to be honest.
Jen's got her hand up too.
Sorry, I'm full of meatballs right now. I never a dull moment. I had a conversation with my school when we were coming up with that whole plan of trying to put flyers in backpacks, Jackie, remember? Ultimately, it's up to the principals, and what I was
to be on all the tables, because every school I went to, they were on the tables.
Yeah, it's not up to the principals. If Dr. Wanzer tells them they've got to give it out, they've got to give it out. So that's.
Well, then that was something that was miscommunicated at my school, but they had specifically said that nothing could be put into the front office unless it was specifically approved and told to be put in the front office by the school district. Like,
yes.
So, but
we can ask for that.
Flyers. Just FYI, this was a couple years ago though.
Yeah, so that's what I mean about the whole process gets complicated over the summer. If we make a flyer, it then has to go through this whole process. Dr. Wanzer is the one who and her office determine what can go out to families through this system and that system. But I can add to it, you know, if we have, usually our calendar flyer has been a two-sided affair where we'll have an introduction to what is advisory on the front and a little spiel about what we are and welcome and come and join us kind of thing. And then on the flip side, and we might have our ESE advisory dates on one side. And then on the flip side, we have all the committee information and meeting dates and contact details as well. I think Melissa's idea of having a flyer too as a visual, I would absolutely I've put it on my list, because I think that's a really good idea, as well as having a two-sided flyer that actually goes out and that we're hopefully getting ESE specialists to hand out at IEP meetings, and, you know, in addition to just keep being sent out on email. I think it would be really good to have that visual. So if I can get that approved, I'm certainly going to propose it. I think it's a really good idea.
Can I just make a request on that? Because the flyers that are going home, first of all, there's kids that are not even identified. And parents may or may not be questioning whether that there's a considerable issue with their child, whether they have a disability or not.
Yeah.
So I think it should go to
all.
everybody,
Yeah.
not just, oh, you have
Yeah.
an IEP meeting, here's your flyer. Or
Yeah.
what if your IEP,
And not to mention, we have to kind of be mindful that IEP meetings may still
Are
stay
late.
virtual,
Or they're
right?
late.
So, right.
I
Or
was
they're
just
later in the
listing-
year,
listing.
exactly
I was
right.
just listing the various ways, not that IEP meetings are the only ways. So what I'm saying is, it would go out in kids' backpacks. It would go out on email. It would, it would go out at IEP meetings if there is an IEP meeting where a piece of paper can be handed over. Those are there is many different ways we can get it out. So I'm just kind of
Including texting.
spewing out.
Yeah. Our school sends us text messages and I love them.
That's a great idea too.
Okay, so then I guess my only thing, so we'll do that in the summer. We'll have to figure, all this out, and we can certainly work on ways to communicate and get that out. And I think as generally as the advisory, we can also talk about that, at our next meeting too. Like for today, I didn't sign up for a meeting to come in. Jasmine, I cheated and Jasmine sent me her link. So is that something we have to do? Is that how it's always been done? Is you sign in and then you get a link to enter a meeting?
I mean, that's how
Which is
we've
fine,
set
just
it
so I
up.
know.
No, we have just
Okay.
set it up that way so that it's a little more secure, so you don't get, because we did have an issue on one of the Down syndrome committee meetings when we first started on Zoom that was not so fun, when we didn't have all the security features on. And so it's just an added security feature so that we don't have Zoom bombers.
Yeah, okay.
That's because this is, we do have to by sunshine law advertise it on when it's an official executive board meeting, you have to advertise it to meet sunshine law if it's an official meeting.
Right.
So, but if you're having an unofficial meeting, then no.
Okay, got it.
Then I never
So-
heard about it happening.
All right, so Jasmine, you can, because if you can work on that stuff, Jasmine, too, and with Carla and Melissa's help too, but if you guys can work on that aspect, I can work on agendas, I can work on preparing for the meetings, I can work on aligning all the speakers, like I can do all that stuff.
If you can
it's
work
just
on what?
like the
sorry.
website, like getting whatever we need to do for like the
no.
website and.
I
got
want to
that.
be able to, no, I'm not going to do that part of it, but I can do, I guess this is where I want to come in and say, what is everybody's strength? Like I can do all the speaker things and things like that as well. Website things are not my forte. Like, are you going to be the only one picking the speakers? Is that what you're saying? Or
No,
what do you
I'm not saying that at all. I had said that we would have a meeting in the summer. We would discuss who the speakers would be, and then I can sign them. I can go and ask them to speak and organize all that.
Okay,
I work
good.
a lot with the
Yeah.
districts, so a lot of these people that would come in and
Yeah.
speak, I work with
Sure.
on a day-to-day
That's the
basis.
thing.
So you're welcome to do it, but I have that relationship already established with them, so I just think it's easier for me to do that part.
Okay, because website and things are not my forte.
Yeah, and I'm not meaning.
Yeah, Isela, whatever you can't do, I saw like the what all the other prerequisites are. I can definitely handle and manage. So I can also bring speakers, all that. But so
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah,
I mean,
I can set the website. I can do the website. There's all those things. I'm
yeah.
fairly technically savvy. I'm not the best. Whatever I don't know, my husband always knows.
And we can help.
So-
Yeah, no, we can all do it together. I mean, it's everyone, we can all do it together. I'm not trying to delegate jobs, but I just know, like, I'm not familiar with the website. Maybe I need to dive in and take a look at it. But like when we're preparing for our September meeting, how are we going to get it out there? Because it's going to be us that have to get it out there. And those are the things that,
Yeah.
tell me, Jackie, that's what I'm saying. That's where I don't know.
Yeah, well, here's how it is meant to work. Each committee has a BCPS liaison, and yours is Gary.
right.
And I think over the years, maybe the role of liaison hasn't even necessarily been explained to the liaisons either, but they're the ones that are meant to do, you know, if you need information from the district, or if you want to ask about setting up a speaker, you would do it all through Gary. He's your kind of bridge between you and the district for committee purposes. Every month for ESE advisory, I write the script for the parent links that you hear on the robocall. So, you know, every parent would get a robocall telling them about an ESE advisory meeting, and they would also get the parent link email. But it's on me to write that and ensure that the district has it in time to do. I'm not sure if committees have been doing that or not. And whether we could get, you know, like a monthly one put out with all our meetings for the month, each month. That would be an additional way of alerting parents to things that are coming up. But they do go out. So those robocalls, we do it by email, we do it by phone call. I think we need to always be mindful that not everybody is on Facebook. So we think, oh, well, we advertised a committee meeting on Facebook. Well, you know, big deal. That's not 40,000 people. Or 250,000 families in the district. So it's just kind of knowing that process and using your liaison to help. Gary should know how to, I can give you the names of the people that actually do it, because sometimes I've just gone direct to them.
Well, I'm just even thinking like tonight's meeting, right? Like for today, like it was done on the website, the link was sent. Like, is that always the way people enter the meetings? Let me start with that question, because maybe I confused
for the executive meeting, you mean? Or
yeah.
I didn't even
know
for the
executive meeting.
Oh, I see.
I did. On the iMessenger app, there was a, you know, for tonight's meeting, and I was like, can someone just send me the link? Because I didn't go on there to fill in your name and everything, and that gives you access to that meeting. So is that format needed for all our meetings? Which it sounds like it's not.
Well, if it was going to be online, yes, we would set up. So the way it's worked with Teams, again for ESE advisory, the district had all our dates, and then they set up the Teams link for each of those meetings. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So we don't have to worry about that. So that's easy peasy. I was worried like we had to set that up and get it out and take care of all that, but that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
Now I understand. So there's nothing really. So then what we post more on the website is just like our minutes, upcoming topics, just to alert people of what we're going to be discussing. Correct?
Yeah. When you say the website, it's an ESE advisory website, so there's not an ACE one anymore. So, and I think the whole thing, Jen, we were going to overhaul it, weren't we? And then COVID came along and life came along.
Right. And I'm still down for helping you with that. So anytime you want to sit down and redo anything on that, I will more than gladly help you, because that does not take, you know, to adjust and tweak things on that does not take me very long at all. So
thank you. And
whenever you have time, let me know.
Thank you. We may have a bigger issue on our hands with that, in that we need to be ADA compliant on our website. That's been something that the district's gone through. Again, should I put that on my to-do list of whether there's even anyone at the district that can help with that? Because we have, it's kind of ironic that we're a disabilities group and we're not ADA compliant, but it's all, you know, things like even the size of the font and the color of the font. The district had to go through this whole redesign that just took forever. And I'm conscious that at some point somebody mentioned that to me for our website too. But if that's what they want and that's what we're required to do, we're going to need some help to do that. So
then we'll need help, because I have not something I have training on.
I'm not putting it
on.
No,
I got that. It's not something I have training on. So I need a handbook or something. I mean, I'm sure there's research online. I just have no clue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we want, are you guys saying that you want to redo the ACE website, or we're just going to leave it down, or?
No, there isn't one. There isn't an ACE.
It was expensive, and it wasn't paid for by anyone except for me. So when last year we talked about it and decided it was better just to go ahead and let it go, so that it wasn't anyone's responsibility to have to pay. I didn't want to leave it to become someone else's albatross to feel like they had to pay for it.
It was a very pretty website, by the way.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I liked it, and I still have it. If someone decides, hey, I really want to do it, that's fine. You can have it. I just didn't want to make anyone feel like they had, you know, it does add up. And while I could pay for that and that was fine for me, I did not want to make anyone feel like they had to take on that responsibility, because that does start to add up. And to be fair, it is probably better leaving them all together, honestly, to keep all of the advisories together on one website. It just keeps everything more central. It keeps everything together. It's just more unified. I personally like it better. That's just my personal opinion. But I would have no problem if someone did have a burning urge to restart the ACE website. I do have it all saved. It's not like I, threw it away or anything. It's still available.
One less thing to worry about. I love it.
Okay, yeah, I think so too.
Can I make a suggestion? Melissa, you made a really good, another really good suggestion of something that you would be happy doing, which is helping to keep pushing for peer buddy groups in schools. And I think that would be a really good thing for ACE and advisory to be jumping up and down about more. And I think if we, I don't know, what do you think? You were saying you'd be happy to get involved in doing something about that. Do you have a specific idea in mind or an idea of how?
With PALS?
More PALS, that's it.
Yeah, I have actually, yes, I have all the PowerPoints. Steve Moyer gave it to me. I know Alicia Palalis has that. So, but yeah, we created a schedule. Like we helped, it was easier for elementary because they're under one schedule other than the middle school because they have those 6 classes. But yeah, we were able to really successfully train the kids, the mentors, and they were able to, we were able to do events maybe like for I think one was for the fall, one was for Christmas, and one was for, I think that was it, for Valentine's Day, and then the pandemic came. But yeah, it was really successful, and like I can help with scheduling, how to set it up. I even have like the permission slip, everything. So it would just be the teachers the ESC specialist or the counselor, whomever wants to do it, and just reaching out to the teachers to get a schedule.
Yeah, I was wondering whether, sorry, I'm going off at a tangent here, but because you said it, it's such a nice idea, and I know you've brought it up before, but is there something like, could we, I could ask if we could do this, but if we were allowed to do it, would you be able to put something together that we could, from ESE advisory and or ACE, or, the whole merry bunch of us, we could be putting out a flyer to principals and to ESE specialists, urging them, like, do you have, a PALS? Here's,
and I can reach out to Steve
and
so he can let me know how, like, does this look good before I give it to you guys? Because I know Steve is, someone we can reach out to as well. So, but yeah, I would love that.
That would be really nice, because I know you said you wanted to get involved and do something like that. Could be your little project.
Okay.
It's a big project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we could liaise on that through the summer.
We had one ESC specialist reach out, the ESC specialist from Olson Middle, but I think they thought that it was like the buddies where they come in and they do everything, but no, it's just like a little bit of work as far as scheduling, and then that runs itself because the kids will know, oh, this is the time I have to go, and it's like it just becomes a routine.
Yeah.
So once you just get that ball rolling, it just takes off.
So if we put together a kind of flyer on it, that could go out to school advisory councils and PTOs as well. The more people you have going to their school saying,
Absolutely.
Hey, how about we have one of these, and here's some information, and that could be really good, couldn't it?
Yeah, well, Carol Panzarella, right? That's the Carol's program. Yeah, so and that's good because then she can also bring it up also at the coaches meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah, even
as well. So yeah.
Too.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
found it successful if you have a parent liaison, like being in those events. So that's
For sure,
what I say.
agree.
Having a parent infiltrate in there, as far as like the PTSA, and then you might have to spend a little money, and that's fine because everyone's going to benefit, you know, if you buy drinks and things like that. But the parents in there, everyone's in there. Even I think that Mary Beth went to one of our events. And it was really good. It was really nice.
I love it. Yeah. Are you cleaning right now, by the way?
Yes, I have
So
surgery
impressed.
tomorrow, so I'm
impressed.
trying to get as much
Oh my gosh,
as much
you're so-
done. I'm mopping my room.
I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to go scrub toilets while I finish this call. So, well, good luck for good luck at your surgery tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck.
All right, so I think we're good, right? We'll plan. I think we need to plan for the year and kind of put all this talk and planning into works with our new schedule and getting things lined up. And I think we're good.
Yeah.
I know I can bombard Jen and Jen whenever I need to.
Anytime, you know, I'm
We
all,
need,
you know,
we need to.
I just can't, you know, I will be leaving for Alabama the day after school is out. And, you know, as we all know, my internet is super spotty up there, but I usually am in town at least. Usually the kids go
Yeah.
stir crazy. So at least every other day or so we head into town for a little bit. So, but yeah, I'm always around for you guys. And I just didn't want to make a commitment to anything because I have no idea when we're going. So that's why I'm like, I got to step back. So I'm really happy that this looks like we're all, you know, we're all good. And I do feel really good about the things that we've got set up and the way we're going forward. But I'm here to totally support. I have nothing but good, positive love for you guys. And we're going to make this happen. And
I really don't think it has to be complicated. I think this can be a very simple.
No,
Yeah.
I
really-
think honestly, the simpler
I
the
agree.
better.
Yeah.
Can I mention one other thing that does complicate things?
You're going to complicate things. Jackie?
We need to have elections for main advisory. Next year we should have had them already, but every committee and advisory we drifted because of COVID and not being able to meet. But we're going to need to get back to meeting in person. We're a main advisory, we have to meet in person. But you know, we can live stream or record as well, but we have to have a quorum in the room. And I know this gets boring to keep explaining, but I want to be sure that sometimes I don't explain things very well. Under the current way of operating, as it has been for years for advisory, is that anybody is a voting member if they have attended 2 out of the last 6 meetings, which leaves this just big woolly, vague, drifting, floating membership of members. And there's some good to that and there's some downsides to that, which is that you never have one crystallized membership, like who is ESE advisory. So we have the main 7-member board, which is the elected body, and technically a chair cannot serve more than 2 years. Currently there is a redraft of the policy that oversees, that dictates that term. I sit on this policy 1.7 work group at the district. We've met for over 750 hours this year, collectively redrafting this policy that governs all advisories and committees. That was a little mini presentation I gave at the last advisory meeting last week. One of the proposals that the members of the 1.7 work group came up with to put before the school board is that we proposed, it's really difficult to get volunteerism these days for all kinds of very understandable reasons. And the turnover or difficulties that all committees and advisories face is this constant, who's going to chair and who wants to be chair? Oh, well, nobody. And who's got time to be chair? Nobody. And then just as a chair has got their feet under the table, you know, the first year in term is just like learning the ropes and forging relationships. And the second year is actually trying to get something done. And then your term is up. So we propose that chairs should be able to chair advisories for 3 years, and that thereafter, if the membership wishes, and that thereafter it should be up to the members, not to the school board, to dictate who they want as a chair. So if the membership of a body decides, hey, we'd like to continue with this chair and keep some consistency, and there's nobody else who will step up and be chair, then you've built in a safeguard that if somebody's willing to, to carry on serving, they can do. At the moment, the school board rule is, let's just keep churning people over and over and over and expecting volunteers to just come and do this wildly heavy lift, and then just keep dictating that we change it and make it difficult for everybody, or leave advisories and committees without any leadership at all because nobody else is willing to do it. So at the moment, that's all in flux. We've got a, it looks like possibly a 5-4 split in the school board as to whether or not they would or wouldn't approve that. So we're doing some lobbying and trying to educate some of the members of the school board who have had nothing to do with advisories for many years now, on what it is that advisories even do, and the difficulties of getting volunteerism these days. And so there may or may not be a move by the school board that would allow chairs to continue chairing at the will of the membership, rather than putting term limits on them. But they might not vote in favor of that. And in the middle of all that, we're going to fall into a hole because that's not going to be voted on for quite some while yet. And in the meantime, we need to have elections, and I've termed out. So at some point, we're going to need to decide at advisory generally, like who the heck is going to chair it, or whether you just put in somebody and, you know, somebody agrees to be chair, but then subdelegates the job to somebody else. It's very, very difficult. There's a lot of discussion that needs to be had about this. We don't have anybody.
So Jackie, I'll run for the chair, and I'll just delegate everything to you. How does that work?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. What I don't want to do is impose myself on anybody. I'm quite happy to just step back and let somebody else do it. At the same time, I feel very panicked by the fact there isn't somebody else coming up. Jen, you're moving away. We can't expect you to like chair from Alabama, and you know, that
would be interesting.
Yeah. So you know, I'm not saying there's nobody else that can do the job. There's plenty of people that, you know, but it's a whole learning curve. It's a big job. It takes a lot of time. It is whatever you make of it. But yeah, we are going to need to either do something like that if there's nobody that can or wishes to stand as you know, taking the job over. Jasmine, thank you. That's one thing to do. But I just want to put that out there.
I know I'm definitely not qualified. I don't feel like I'm qualified for that. And that's why I've been a little bit worried about that. I'm like, who's going to chair my advisory board?
Well, there are members of the school board who will sit in meetings and say, oh, these advisories, they're not letting in new blood, and they need to do a better job of bringing in new blood. And there's people knocking on the door who aren't being allowed in. And we're all saying,
well, where are they?
Where the hell is that coming from? I went to the school board and I said, sure, we've got a great long queue of people who are gravitating towards ESE advisory, but
yeah,
they're coming to us because they need help. You know,
Jackie, you know, maybe we don't have anyone stepping up to the plate, and I think that might be your fault because you do such a great job. I would hate to come after you, you know, regardless. I don't know who would want
Thank you, but yeah, thank you. I take that as a compliment. Thank you. But I don't want anyone to think that I think I'm the only person that can do this job, because I don't.
No,
At the same time,
no, definitely not.
At
You're
the
just
same
so
time,
good at it.
we're going to need to
I
take
agree.
a stand on it if we end up with where there's nobody who, like last year, I think the day before, or actually the afternoon of our kind of informal sort of election thing that we had online in the end, we had a couple of names come forward on email like, hey, I want to run as a board member, and we'd never heard of them. So Bark was frantically having to rifle through records because I said, can you check if they're a member? We need to check if they've, you know, if they've attended for 2 of the last 6 meetings, they're a legitimate candidate and they can stand. And it turned out they hadn't. So, you know, you want some kind of continuity and consistency, and someone who, so anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just kind of all of a dither about what the heck's going to happen, but anyway.
Yeah, but it needs to be talked about. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, you know, and I think it's going to
vital.
take some outreach to the school board as well. I'm all of us on the policy 1.7 work group, we went down and we wrote off an entire day a couple of weeks ago going down to talk to the school board. We got sat out in the waiting room for hours while they talked about other stuff, and then I got 3 minutes to speak to the school board, and the chair got up after 2 minutes and left the room because she had something else to do or take a phone call or something. And I'd been there 3 hours to speak for 3 minutes to talk about exactly this. We were all down there to talk about how difficult it is to get volunteerism. Don't put limits on good volunteers. If you've got them, encourage them, and you know, encourage that consistency of leadership rather than doom committees to, you know, to have a slump if they don't have somebody else that comes forward at an election time. So anyway, I just want to put it out there. I don't really know where I'm going with it, but I'm bothered about it at the moment because I don't know what we're going to do.
We will get through it like we get through everything else, but
That's right.
I got a feeling it's all going to work out. I really do.
And if not, we have Jasmine.
Yeah, there
Yes,
we go.
yes. Jasmine saves the day.
Did.
That I cannot step up for, but I
all
am
heard it.
there to help.
Hey, I'll be
Jasmine
it in
spoke.
name only. And if we just need a name, you can throw my name in there, but I'm just telling y'all. No.
Thank you. Thanks for the
All right,
thought.
guys.
And thanks all
I
of you
do
for
need to get
stepping up.
off. Absolutely. So I
Understand
will,
that too.
yeah, we'll be in touch, I guess, moving forward. And Jen will talk more too. Let me just get through this next week and then we'll brainstorm together, you know, maybe in July, and just kind of let me know what you guys want, who you want to speak, start thinking about that, and then we'll get moving on that.
I love you
Awesome.
guys. You're
Thank you
wonderful.
so much.
Well
And
done,
I will
everyone.
always be here for you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jens, for everything you guys do. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
yes.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so
Good job
much.
keeping it all going. Well done, guys.
Definitely.
Thank you.
You guys
All
wouldn't
right,
be able to do
guys.
it without you guys too. So love you, and holler at me if you need anything. And people who are doing
We'll be
tech stuff,
hollering,
get a
don't
hold
worry.
of me, and I will get you all the password stuff too, so you have all of that. So just get in touch with me, and I'll get all that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Have a wonderful
All
evening,
right, have a
guys.
good
I'll talk to you
evening.
later.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Bye, everyone.